Welcome back to another Pirkei Avot text explication video with me, your host, Rabbi Drew. We are now on the third text in the fifth chapter of Pirkei Avot. Just as we have experienced with the first two texts in this chapter, we are hit with another anonymous text and also the number 10 and also related to something biblical. This, however, is shorter than what we have experienced thus far. Let's just dive right in. Asar nisyonot nisnasa Avraham Avinu alav hashalom. With 10 trials, Abraham, our father, may he rest in peace, was tested with 10 trials. Okay, but va'amad b'chulam. But he endured. He remained standing with all of them. He withstood them all. Now, this is interesting. Now it continues, and it's going to use a term that we've seen in the previous text, lahodia, to inform or to make known. Lahodia kama chibato shel Avraham Avinu alav hashalom. To make known how great was the love of Abraham our father, peace be upon him. This is interesting. Again, we start out with an assertion, a biblical assertion about the number 10, and certainly with regards to the book of Genesis, and then followed up with a here's what's going on, or what's the point of this? Lahodia, to make known how beloved Abraham our father was. Now, what are these 10? It's a nice assertion. There were 10 trials, but what are these 10? Now, apparently, there are different ways of counting what these 10 were. In the various things that end up being counted amongst these 10 trials are his being ordered to move, with regards to his sons, with regards to his wives, on the occasion of his war with the kings, at the covenant between the pieces, at the Ur of the Chaldees, and also with the covenant of circumcision, Brit Milah. So those are some of them. Now, exactly how it all works out, how is the counting? Maybe some are counted twice. I'm not going to get into all those details. What is fascinating, and I came across this, is that apparently Professor James Kugel pointed out that the idea that Abraham was tested, it was actually a very common ancient idea, common to many ancient biblical commentators. And yes, anybody reading the book of Genesis and you read about Abraham, you see that his life is full of trials. He is told to leave his homeland. He faces famine, war, troubles with his wives and son, which I just mentioned, Ishmael. With his son Ishmael, right, because he was told to get rid of him, but also he was told to sacrifice his son Isaac. So there are a lot of challenges, and there are a lot of trials that Abraham had to endure. And also, I think part of this comes from where Abraham came from. When we think back to the previous text, that there were 10 generations from Noah to Abraham, and then what we had experienced of Abraham then receiving the schar of all of them, the reward of all of them. But basically, Abraham seemingly comes out of nowhere. Nothing particularly special, but somehow Abraham heeded the call of God. There was some special connection made and established seemingly out of left field, and yet Abraham was able to get a special place. But I think this text makes it very clear he didn't come out of nowhere, and it wasn't handed to him. He had to face these 10 trials. And as we've been experiencing in this chapter so far, 10 is a very special and significant number, and also fairly large. To endure a trial or two, that's one thing. But 10, that is a significant endurance, certainly a lot of fortitude, both mentally, physically, spiritually, a lot of these things. So to endure all of these 10 different trials really shows not just how strong of an individual with his free will and what he can endure for Abraham, but also, as this text points out, kama chibato shel Avraham Avinu, that his love, or it's unclear exactly the directionality, but it seems to be that Abraham had a certain love, and that powered him and pushed him through. So Abraham didn't yes, he came out of nowhere, but he also had to prove it. He also had to endure it to really achieve that special status. So that's our third text here in this fifth chapter, and thank you so much for watching.